It's Kellie Walters coming or airing from the USA, and the topic is devoted to satirical jewelry design and the feminist perspective in augmentation.
Hi, can you all see my screen okay?
Yep, it's fine.
Perfect. So, as I was just introduced, I'll be going over Nance, which is a satirical jewelry piece for feminist perspectives in product design and augmentation. So it's product design based, but really originally rooted in AI theory and feminist theory, and primarily is rooted on Kurzweil's and Bostrom's artificial intelligence philosophies. When it comes to the development of artificial intelligence and augmentation projects, we need to spend time considering strategic analysis according to Bostrom's theory, recommending that we postpone discussions solely around long-term existential risks and focus on ensuring that we're guiding AI development with core human beliefs that are unbiased in their original intentions, mostly because the theory is that AI will kind of decide our existential route once superintelligence is developed. It's more important to postpone discussions solely around long-term existential risks of a post-Anthropocene, but to develop shorter-term philosophies that have greater impact and direct solutions onto the development of artificial intelligence. Alison Adam voiced concerns in her article in the Feminist AI Projects and Cyber Futures that many projects in science fields and AI development are surface level and targeted specifically at getting more women into industry, but projects need to consider the social epistemology of augmentation in relation to feminism. And furthermore, that within the science and engineering fields, the expectation is to consider feminist projects as not attended to by men, and is expected to be led by the few women in the field that create gaps in feminist considerations. This kind of links to pop feminist empowerment products that mirror their existence in advertisements where they push through a perspective of feminist branding, creating a capital value of feminist ideas, delineating the definition of feminism. Specifically, this is taking the perspective of critiquing a little bit of third wave feminism that we are seeing now, where pop feminist products are rebranded into a version of feminism that encourages women to select their own views on what feminism means, what rights they want to fight for, and what makes them feel more successful, primarily in relation to their capital value in society. This focuses on white privilege power feminist who sees her opportunities as freedom when it is purely assimilation, specifically into a double bind of balancing traditional feminine characteristics and navigating the old boys club in order to reach successes, focusing on a neoliberal capital value of a female in corporate environments. These ideas of feminism are not fighting for political rights, are not fighting for equality in the workplace, and are not fundamentally trying to resist sexism in society, but are excellent at finding ways to find ways through privilege to assimilate into it. This fits within neoliberal visions of success and self-worth tied to capital gain, forcing the female to feel social pressure to gain status in the new neoliberal capital standards, specifically fitting in with a overarching neoliberal version of success and self-worth being tied to capital gain. What we see today with empowerment feminism is a moment that is mirroring the post-feminist ideas of the 90s and early 2000s that wasn't so much anti-feminism as it was a mockery of feminism as just too earnest. The worth of women in today's neoliberal society balances a dichotomy where the expected worth of a woman is in her feminine characteristics, but she also experiences the added expectation of being a capital member of society, where she must also balance a strict amount of masculine characteristics to succeed in the male-dominant capital-based value of neoliberal society. Combining this with empowerment feminism, there is higher and higher pressure for women to submit to sexist work environments in order to be rewarded as one of the few tokenized women that make it to the top, balancing domestic visions of femininity, but also having to work more hours and perform at a higher level than her male colleagues to receive the same amount of recognition for that labor. Specifically, the concern of this project is around popular views that we see in feminism and the mass glorification of empowerment feminism, not only in popular media, but that we're starting to see recorded in feminist academic circles. As we develop augmentation and pinpoint crucial considerations, it's concerning that not only feminist issues would largely be overlooked in the extremely male-dominant field of artificial intelligence, but that empowerment feminist principles have a high possibility of being circulated into those crucial considerations. If we are creating augmentation with the precepts of neoliberal social values and empowerment feminism, then we will create augmentation that is somewhat feminist, but in a third wave point of view, and does not work towards an anti-sexist society, but assimilates into existing sexist norms. This project relies on the tool of satirical design, since its role in design is to provoke a political or economic topic where there is not a solution, but instead a critical perspective on politics is taken with a hint of jokiness. Satire is a way of creating visual work that connects complex academic philosophies to a version of popular philosophy that helps connect academic perspectives in politics and bring it to the people in a more tangible and accessible format. A satirical narrative around product design can have an incredible impact because we have such intimate interactions with products. They reflect ourselves and through our purchasing habits, and they hold our self-concept within them. The examples that I've given today for purely satirical objects, I've based off of critiquing and kind of within the home, since we're all kind of coming together today from our homes. So the first example that I have is Idea, created and led by Nicholas Jacob, but he worked with 17 other designers to create satirical IDEA or Idea, satirizing our interaction in our homes today and satirizing IKEA itself and creating objects within the home that create a narrative and satirical take on how we interact with objects and home goods within our living spaces. Max Seidenhoff, not so much in a product design realm, but in a graphic presentation of curating objects into a narrative or a satirical or comedic take on the coronavirus pandemic and how we've been coping with stay-at-home orders, explores what to do while quarantining yourself in a little bit of a jokey way to help cope with the realities of stay-at-home orders. In the space of design and augmentation or artificial intelligence, we see few projects that explore this area of satirical design. I want to talk today about face values. It's not necessarily satirical design, but fits within the realm of critical design practice without being explicitly satirical. It's the impactful installation from the 2018 London Biennale US Pavilion, Face Values, by digital artists R. Luc Dubois and Zach Lieberman. It constructed a critical commentary on biased artificial intelligence. The installation by Dubois specifically brought visitors literally face-to-face with racist and sexist functions of AI that has been implemented and is currently being used. Some of these are being used here in the US police departments for policing and facial recognition. And so you got to interface with the AI itself, and you created a facial expression, and it read your facial expression and prescribed your sex, ethnicity, and age, and was largely inaccurate for particularly women and people of color. The success of critical design perspectives isn't in creating solutions, but its strength is in bringing critical analysis and philosophy into a more tangible and digestible format. The purpose is to provoke thought on a subject that is particularly difficult to discuss, but with a bit of humor, while simultaneously taking difficult philosophical topics and applying them for reflection and discussion. This brings us to Nance, the satirical designed necklace that combines critical feminist theory and AI theory to discuss crucial considerations in augmentation. The theoretical focus of this project specifically is on the gap in augmentation projects addressing feminist issues, specifically those that address similar to face values that critically assesses bias in AI development. More important to me was highlighting how even positive intentions and crucial considerations, if not critically robust, can end in detrimental effects once they're developed further. The focus of this paper was to create a satire on possible realistic augmentation product if we develop them within feminist values in mind, but stay within the concepts of neoliberal third wave feminism. So highlighting that we have this positive kind of effect of having a feminist value, but one that is within the concepts of neoliberalism. This project would then address ways that empowerment feminists succeed in the workplace and create augmentation and result. This product would need to assist in adjusting behavior to better submit to sexist corporate cultures, better help the woman assimilate into sexist norms within the workplace. Specifically, this focused on how women are interrupted, spoken over, or their ideas aren't taken seriously until a male colleague repeats her idea. The project focused specifically on the speaking norms and assimilation that empowerment feminists are excellent at. Augmentation could maybe created to serve this culture is augmentation that could help assist in allowing the female to be more subservient to verbal communication norms. In regards to vocal communication, since women are interrupted and also have to maintain a specific level of feminine and masculine communication, having a product help the female be interrupted and spoken over by men would be suitable for this version of neoliberal empowerment feminism, allowing the female to focus on working up the corporate ladder within current conceptions of preferred corporate femininity for her valued place in a capital valuing society. One way to keep a woman from speaking when a male speaks is to paralyze the vocal cords for a period of time when the male starts speaking. This can be done by paralyzing the larynx in order to keep the voice from working. Therefore, the product must lie around the larynx, considering the third wave neoliberal feminist focus on beauty and fashion products that empower women to excel at their jobs and pronounce their individually identified feminist views through the purchasing of products. A necklace becomes somewhat fitting to take since it's beautifying and helping her become more successful in a corporate atmosphere. Explored a variety of forms and intersections along the neck, focusing on forms that would be attractive but subliminal, similar to the constructs of neoliberalism in society. Voice recognition software would be needed in the product to recognize a range of vocal depth that is associated with the male voice to identify when males speak. A vibrator within the necklace placed around the larynx vibrates to partially paralyze the larynx for short periods of time, while the device recognizes the user starting to use their vocal cords when a male is already speaking or beginning to speak. The first vibration wouldn't fully paralyze the vocal cords, and speaking would still be feasible, but the vibration is meant to be an initial shock to signal the user not to speak. From that point, if the device is triggered in succession, the vibrations grow in intensity, both to keep the female user from continuing to try to speak when a male counterpart is speaking, but would slowly train the female how she should most appeasably communicate with her male counterparts over time. This is meant to mirror the slow training of roles that happens over time in a neoliberal male-dominant hegemonic society. The necklace also comes with a jewelry case that charges it, connecting to charge pins on the rear side of the necklace. This project does not propose a solution to feminist augmentation, but uses the tool of satirical design to poke at the gap in feminist crucial considerations in the development of artificial intelligence and augmentation. This project simultaneously critiques popular feminism, empowerment feminism, and empower feminism that serve a small group of traditionally privileged women to work towards assimilating into a sexist society rather than resisting towards an anti-sexist future. The necklace specifically critiques the assimilating behavior within corporate culture around verbal communication, where women are often interrupted, spoken over, or heard less in corporate environments. Nance functions by vibrations in the necklace around the larynx of the user to paralyze the vocal cords and keep the user from speaking when male voices are recognized. This necklace is an object that uses standards of feminine beauty along with augmentation functions to increase the ability for a woman to assimilate into the existing sexist corporate culture, posing a satire of augmentation submitting to neoliberal forms within third wave feminist principles. Thank you, and I'll kind of open this time up for questions now.
Thank you so much, Kelly. This is truly very enthusiastic. I just imagine that necklace on one's neck, just how it could figure, how it would work. I guess it makes females speechless and kind of a performance, just to fight that thing, contemporary paralyzing the vocal. That's very cool. For the moment, I did not see the questions in chat. However, I would like to pose you a question. Whether anyone tried to perform with it, maybe makes a record of that thing working in progress.
Sorry, what was that? It cut out for me a little bit.
Have you seen it working? Have you seen anybody wearing it and how that works?
So I've kept it in the realm of kind of just within the realm of satire. I think actually creating a prototype of this would be somewhat, I think it could be jolting to experience and could engage users a little bit more with the idea of bringing, and kind of that idea of bringing popular philosophy to the people. But I kind of like that it lives within a digital space, so that I think it's a little shocking and a little disturbing, especially as a woman in corporate right now, thinking about wearing that at work. I think even just the thought of it is disturbing enough. Is kind of why I've kept it in a digital realm, and mostly on using the tool of critical design practice to kind of poke and a little bit into this connection between philosophy and designed objects. So kind of keeping it within the digital realm for now.
Sure, I guess. However, personally, I think that it's more a piece of contemporary art than a piece of design, actually. Frederick comments that it's real horror. Well, it really works. It does, even in that digital sphere. And our digital togetherness in Zoom, it's even more intriguing by the means of interrupting each other. It's always so awkward because in real life we can give some signs to each other, yet trying to pass the voice. And here we have to make it very brutal, just trying to interrupt the speaker because the microphones wouldn't do that, wouldn't allow that. And I think that the algorithms of Zoom actually give us some tip on how that idea could go further. Thank you so much, Kelly. Thank you so much. We had a beautiful session today devoted to all these strange and beautiful Anthropocene things.
Thank you, colleagues, for the fantastic presentation.